Well, hi there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Farm Sim Gamer here, and today I'm taking a look at some top maps that I would recommend for beginners or those that have not been playing the game that long. So if you've recently started playing Farming Simulator or have only been playing for a few months and are still getting used to the game but want to try something new and different to the two in-game maps, then stay tuned to see a variety of maps that I would recommend as a good next step in your enjoyment of playing Farming Simulator. Now, a few things to start off with. These are only my personal recommendations. Everyone has their own likes and dislikes, so I'm sure that there'll be other maps out there that people like and would also recommend. I'm also not suggesting that these are the best maps in the game either, just my thoughts on good maps for new players to progress onto. So feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. And for those of you that might have been playing a little bit longer, what did you move on to as your next map in the mod hub, and what would you recommend? Now, there are a few criteria that I have set to keep things on a fairly even keel. I've also steered away from maps that have slightly more complex features like additional crop types or things like Maze Plus, but having said that, these maps are definitely suitable for players of all levels. So all of the maps I've suggested are available for PC, Mac and console players, so PS4 and XBox. All of the suggested maps are currently available on the in-game mod hub or from Giant's official Farming Simulator website, so they're easy to download. Now, I do know that there are a lot of great maps that are out there that are not on the in-game mod hub, specifically for PC, but I wanted to ensure that my suggestions were available for all players. They're all regular sized maps, so no 4x or 16x maps. Most have animals built into the maps at some levels, some more than others. They all have at least 2 farm options that players can purchase as a start point, and they all have good starting machinery and new farmer mode that's suitable for the map that you're on. They're all seasons ready if that's something that players would like to progress onto in time. I've also selected maps that are from different map makers as well. And all of the maps have a rating of 4 stars and above on the mod hub, with some being rated as the top maps. So I've selected 10 maps in total, and for ease I've split that up into 3 sections: UK, US and Europe. And I've also tried to select maps that are different in style or character, so we don't end up with maps that are too similar. Now, not all of the maps are new. Some were released back in 2019, but they are of course newer than the 2 standard in-game maps. And some of the maps have been updated for FS19 from older versions of Farming Simulator, either FS15 or FS17. So for those players that are new to the game, you may have missed some really great maps that have been out for quite a while, released before you started playing, that you just haven't got around to considering yet. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover the maps in any real detail, so all I'm going to do is simply spend a few minutes on each, giving a brief overview, highlighting some of the nice features whilst doing a little tour of the map. So let's get into it. First up, the UK, and here are 3 great maps that I think you'd really enjoy playing. So let's start with the wonderful Little Norton by GB Modding, a fictional UK map that was first launched on the mod hub in June 2020. Now this has a mod hub rating of 4 out of 5. There are 56 fields in total, ranging from small to large in size. And there are 6 viable farm areas. The cow farm, which is the one that you start with in New Farmer. There's also a pig farm that has horses on it as well. There's a very small chicken farm that you could buy as a kind of small farm startup. There's a separate horse stables that has quite a large kind of training and kind of paddock area. There's also a sheep farm with a couple of fields, and then there's also a separate arable farm as well, just with a single field, 23. Now there are 11 sell points in total, 3 of which are for your crops and grains. There's a single BGA, but it's not very expensive at all, so that's a good option. And it just uses the standard in-game crop types. There's no additional special crops or anything. So the animals are all built into placeables on those farms, as I mentioned. There's some wonderful custom lighting on the map, some added animated objects. There's quite a large forestry area in the south, and as I've showed you, there's a good choice of separate farmyards, so enabling you to kind of start however you decide to. Now, some of the land is often sold in blocks of several fields as well, so that's quite a nice option, and there are some good custom contracts as well. Now, there is a farming agency version of this map as well, which kind of adds a whole additional kind of level of gameplay. So if you do decide to play this map and you want to progress onto something that's kind of even more challenging, then there is an agency edition of this as well. So that's it for Little Norton. Now let's move on to our next map. Now, another fictional UK map, Greenwich Valley by Green Bale, was released on the Mod Hub in October 2019 and has proved to be one of the most popular British maps on FS19, with a rating of 4.4 out of 5. Now, if you only started playing in 2020, then you may have missed this wonderful gem of a UK map. And despite recent map releases, I still think this is one of the nicest maps that are out there. Now, the map has 125 fields in total. Most of them, I would say, are on the small to medium size, but there are a few larger fields as well, and a couple of forestry areas. Now, there are 7 viable farmyards in total. There's a pig farm, a sheep farm, a cattle farm. There's 2 smaller storage yards, which you can use for kind of small farm startup if you wanted to, and there's also horse stables. And then last but not least, there is the main arable farm as well, which is where you start in new farmer mode. Now, the equipment loadout is pretty good, as you would expect. It tends to be slightly smaller machinery, but it's in keeping with the style of the map. And it's just the standard crop types that are available. There's nothing additional or special that's been added to the map. Now, there are 9 selling points in total, 4 of which are for your crops and grains, and there are 2 BGAs available as well, one in the south part of the map and one up in the north, and I would say they're probably mid-priced really, and as you probably noticed on the map, there's an awful lot of grass fields to keep them busy. So there are 2 places on the map where you can purchase lime. There are 4 detailed small towns as well, which are really great, one of which has got some roadworks in it that you have to kind of drive around. There's a working TV and radio in the main house, which is really great, nice little feature. And I think on the TV it has the local weather forecast as well, so some really nice and lovely detail. And as I mentioned earlier, there's 2 forestry areas as well, one in the north, one in the south. If you're into your forestry, that will certainly keep you busy. And those small yards that I mentioned beforehand, they're perfect if you want to do a small farm setup, or you're starting from scratch or something along those lines. So like Little Norton, Greenwich Valley is a wonderful UK map with some great attention to detail, and if you did start playing in 2020, then you may have missed this one, and it's definitely worth going back and having a look at. So that's 2 of the UK maps down. Here's our final one. Why the Farms by Missy B, who you may recognise from having other mods on the Mod Hub. This is another fictional UK map that was released more recently in December 2020 and has a current rating of 4 out of 5 on the Mod Hub. The map has 33 fields in total that range in size from small to large, most of which I would say are medium to large, and as you can see, there's a couple of pretty big and decent sized fields on the map. Now, there are 2 farms that you can purchase, the main one of which is fairly centrally located. So this is the main farm, and if you start in new farmer mode, this comes with fields 12 and 14, and you also get the BGA thrown in as well. But if you do need to buy that separately, it's only priced at just under £27,000, so pretty reasonable. The second farm is the horse stables that's nestled down between fields 1 and 4, and that's only priced at just over £16,000, so again, very reasonable. That's just your regular crop types, nothing else has been added, and the main farm comes with cows, sheep, chickens, pigs, all built into the main farmyard, which is pretty big as you can see, and lots of opportunities for you all to be able to develop and grow this area. It has a lot of sell points, 18 in total, 6 of which are for your grains. Now, the BGA is located in the southern part of the map, and it's very cost effective to buy as well, so that's pretty good. And there's some very large areas of forestry that are up in the sort of top left corner of the map as well. So if you love your forestry, then this is a great map for you to get your teeth into. Now, a few other additional things to note. There are 2 separate placeable areas that you can purchase to build your own farm if you wanted to. Now, one of those has got trees on it, so you need to cut down those and clear them before you could start putting any buildings on, but they're pretty cost effective. They're only about £13,500 to £16,000 to purchase. The hedges on the map can be removed to allow for bigger fields. Water and lime is free to use on the map. The gates can also be removed when cutting fence posts down, and there is a trigger on the map to remove all hedges and fence lines if you wanted to. There's a door map for the sleep trigger, so you can choose where you want to live. And as I mentioned beforehand, there's plenty of space on the farmyard, the main farmyard, for you to be able to add additional buildings and expand your farm. And in addition to that, Missy B has also added some of her own mods into the shop, so particularly buildings and silos and things like that she's produced and created before that you can use. So another nice feature that I really like as well is that if you start in new farmer mode, some of your equipment is based down here at the shop and you have to go and pick it up. So quite a unique and different feature. Now that's it for Why the Farms, and I think you'll agree, 3 great UK maps that are good for you to progress onto. So next up is the US. Now I've chosen 4 maps from America that all have different styles and character to them and are from different parts of the country, the first of which is Stone Valley. Now this is a map that is based on central Illinois. It's created by Lancey Boy and was released on the Mod Hub in February 2020 and has a Mod Hub rating of 4 out of 5. Now if we have a look at the map, there are 37 fields in total, all of them medium to large in size, and as you can see there's some pretty big chunky fields out there. Field 37, which is attached to the BGA, Field 12, which you get as part of your new farm startup, so some large fields and certainly something to get your teeth stuck into. Now if you start in new farmer mode, then you start with this block of land here, so 3 sort of decent sized fields. Now there are a couple of other farm options down at field 19 and then also up at field 9 as well, so they're your farm kind of options, and again they sort of the one at field 9 comes with a fairly good block of land. Now in addition to the farms that have their own silos on them, there are some other plots of land that you can also purchase, one of them down in the bottom left hand corner of the map, and then one towards the right hand side as well. Now they don't have silos, but they do have working sheds and things like that on those plots. Now all of the main farms do have silos on them, but none of them have any animal husbandries built into the farms, but there's plenty of space on the fields that you own around those farms if you want to be able to expand and add some animal husbandries in. Now farm 1, the main kind of farm that you get in new farmer mode, does also have a seed buying station on it, and there is a lime buying station up at field 22 as well. Now the BGA is located just up the road from the main start farm. Now it is pretty expensive at just under $3 million, but it does come with field 37, which is a pretty big field. Now there are only 5 selling points in total, 2 of which are for grains, 1 in the south and 1 up in the north. Now it's only the standard crop types that are available on this map, but there is a farming agency version of this map as well. Now the shop is based on a real-life Case dealership that's in the area. There's some custom textures and lighting, plenty of animated objects, and a very good equipment loadout if you start in new farmer mode, with plenty of big equipment which you would expect for the style of farming in the area. And there are a lot of custom contracts available, some of which have some pretty hefty payouts, so I wouldn't worry about building your bank balance too much. So a great American map with some big fields and big farming, and if you like that style of farming, then this is definitely one you should try out. Now for something a little bit different. Well, welcome to Bucks County, a delightful map that represents small-time farming in the eastern side of the United States. The map was created by TNT Modding. It was launched on the Mod Hub in December 2020 last year and has a current Mod Hub map rating of 4.4 out of 5. Now I really like this map. I think it's got a wonderful feel to it, so much so that I've done a video series on Bucks County. Now I'm playing on the original version of the map that came out for PC back in May of last year, but I have done a comparative video on it as well to show the differences between the original version and the version that's available on the Mod Hub. So go check that out if you want to see what the differences are like. Now let's have a little look at the map. There are 60 fields in total, most of which are sort of small to medium in size. There are a few larger fields, but nothing in comparison to Stone Valley that we've just looked at. So mainly kind of smaller fields, and very much represents the smallest style of farming in the eastern part of the United States. Now there are 4 farms available, the main one of which is the cattle farm, which is kind of up here. Now that is worth £1.75 million, so a pretty hefty price, but you get fields 15, 16, 17 and 28 with it. Now in the middle of the map there is a horse stables which comes with field 24. Over the road there is a sheep farm that comes with field 44. And then up in the kind of top right hand part of the map there is also a pig farm that comes with field 14. Now the animals are all built into those 4 farms, the pig farm, sheep farm, the main cattle farm and the horse stables. And if you start in new farmer mode, then you start with the main cattle farm, that $1.75 million farm, which is pretty good, and it's got a very good equipment loadout as well, so plenty of kit to get you started. There are plenty of selling points as well, 17 in total, 7 of which are for grains. And there are plenty of forestry areas as well that are all available in fairly small plots of land that are easy to purchase, and they're very conveniently located near to the biomass heating plant and also the BGA, all of which are located down in the southern part of the map. Now the BGA is not too expensive either, just priced at $165,000, so that's quite achievable really, considering the style of the map and the size of the fields that you've got. Now there are plenty of contracts as well to keep you busy, and those smaller forestry plots of land that you can buy, once you've cleared the trees you could also use those to set up your own farms. So a really lovely map, and one that I personally really enjoy playing. Now next up is New Woodshire, a North American map produced and created by Red Keinstus and Richie F. Now this was launched on the Mod Hub in February 2020 last year and has a current rating of 4.2 out of 5 on the Mod Hub. Now if we take a look at the map, there are 43 fields in total, most of which are small to medium in size, and there's quite a lot of forestry areas as you would expect from a North American map, and they are all kind of in simple, easy, buyable chunks as well. Now if we have a look at what you get in new farmer mode, you get the main farm here which has got pigs and cattle on it. Then you also get fields 32 and 17, and then there is a secondary block of land that has the sheep and the horses on it, where you get fields 2 and 3 included in that block, and then you also get field 8 as well. Now on the main farm you get pigs and cattle that are built in as well, so plenty to get you started with, and if you were starting in farm manager mode then you can choose between those kind of 2 farm plots. There are 7 different sell points in total, 4 of which are for your grains, and it's just the standard crop types with the exception of 1 additional field grass crop type which is listed down the end here. Now this is the main farm that you can see below us, with the cattle shed just off on the left hand side there and the pigs down in front of us. Now you do get a good equipment loadout when you start in new farmer mode, and the machinery is split across those 2 separate farm plots. Now the BGA is close to the secondary farm and quite reasonably priced at $227,000, and it's also conveniently located next to a large forest area in the northern part of the map. There are 2 railway silos located on the map as well, that you can use the train for moving your goods and produce around the map, and there are also 2 lime buying stations, one of which you can see here next to this railway silo. Now some of the fields, although they are on the smaller side, they're quite easy to merge into larger fields if you choose to do so. Quite a lot of them are only separated by grass strips or tracks. Now this map was updated from the original Woodshire map that was on FS19, but has some additional features and quite a lot of changes, and I've seen nothing but good comments about this map on the Giants forums and things like that, so it really is a great and very nice picturesque map to play on. So that's it for New Woodshire. Now last but not least in our American lineup of maps is Lone Oak. Now I wanted to include Lone Oak because it's a wonderful map, and although it's the oldest map that I'm recommended in this video today, released on the Mod Hub in September 2019, it also has the highest rating of 4.6 out of 5. Now it's based on a real life location in Oregon, USA. It was originally produced by Bullet Bill and then converted for FS19 by Oxygen David, who I'm sure you may be aware has produced some wonderful maps for FS19 over the last year or so. Now if we take a look at the map of the PDA, there are 55 fields in total. Now there are a few smaller fields scattered around, but most of them are medium to large in size. There are 4 farms in total. Now the main farm, which is located sort of in the middle of the map, that has cattle and chickens on it, is your kind of starting point if you're in new farmer mode. Now there is also a small horse stables that's located just off to above field 43. There's also a sheep farm next to field 20, and then there's a slightly larger pig farm that's just below fields 17 and 18. Now, if we go and have a look at the actual kind of buying point of the map, you can see that if you start in new farmer mode, you have the main cattle farm in the middle, and you get fields 32, 41, 42, 34 and 29. And if we take a look at all of the communal areas of the map that I'll just highlight in blue, you can see that there's no value to those, just $0. So you can buy those at no cost in order to be able to use things like the other farms in the BGA. Now, there are 9 selling points in total, 3 of which are for your crops and grains. And it's just the main crop types that you get. There's nothing that's been added or is an addition on this map, although there is a farming agency version of Lone Oak as well, so that's available in the mod hub if you want to progress onto something that's a bit more advanced. Now the main cattle farm that you would start at in new farmer mode is very well laid out, plenty of storage, there's a big workshop, and there's a lime station included on the farm itself, and the farmhouse is a really nice feature, and you even get a dog thrown in as well. Now the other 3 farms are not as big. The horse stables is quite small, as is the sheep farm, but the pig farm's a little bit larger. Now these are all on that communal block of land, so although you do need to own it, it won't cost you any money. The selling points are spread out fairly evenly across the map, but mainly on the eastern side, some in the north, some in the south. Now the shop is located up in the north, and the BGA is all part of that communal block of land. So although again you need to own it, it won't cost you any money to use the BGA. Now the map has some new grass textures and ground textures as well, and as I mentioned before, although this is a slightly older map, it's very highly rated, so if you did only start playing in 2020 you might have missed this one, and if you had, I would definitely recommend you go back and have a look. So that's it for our American maps. Now let's go and take a look at 3 great maps in Europe. Now first up is Ravensberg, that was recently launched in December of last year. It's a fictitious map based on a Middle German landscape. It was produced and created by Top Ace 888, and it has a mod hub rating of 4.4 out of 5. Now this is a wonderful map with some great attention to detail and a number of fairly unique features. It includes several town areas, the largest of which is in the centre of the map, with this fantastic port area that has a number of sell points and also a number of buy points. Now if we take a look at the map, you can see that there are 44 fields in total that vary in size from small to large. There are also some additional meadow areas as well that are denoted by the W's that are on the map. There's 7 of those, and then there are numerous forestry areas as well. Some that are up in the northern part of the map, and then some that are kind of in the bottom right hand corner of the map. Now all of those are in relatively small kind of bite-sized chunks that you can easily purchase. Now there are 2 separate farms, one that's up in the north part of the map, which is the main start farm if you're in new farmer mode, and then there's another one that's nestled between fields 23, 24 and 27 that's down in the south. In addition to that, there are a number of placeable areas, one by field 25, another one by field 43, and another one just south of field 14 that you can purchase and build your own farms. BGA is located in the northern part of the map and costs just under 128,000 euros. Now the 2 farms that you can purchase are both cattle farms, but both of them have good placeable areas next to them is large grass fields where you can expand into, and both farms do start with 12 cows. Now there are a number of really nice unique features on this map as well. There's a railway that meanders around the map. There are a number of railway silos where you can store your crop and use the train to transport them around the map. There's 2 operable cranes that you can use for loading up wood in the southern part of the map and transferring and unloading in the northern part of the map where the wood sell point is. The selling points are also nicely spread out across the map, both in the north and the southern part, and there are numerous buying locations as well for the likes of herbicide, lime, seed, fertiliser, etc. The map also has some special grass landscape textures, and a lot of the fields just have either grass strips or tracks in between them, so they're quite easy to merge into larger fields if needed. So really lovely map, very picturesque, a lot of unique features and really fun to play. Now next up for Europe, here's Hollandscheveld. Now I've included this map because it's something a little bit different. It's based on a village of the same name in the Netherlands. It's by a map maker called Dutchfield. It was released on the Mod Hub in July 2020 last year, and it has a current rating of 4.2 out of 5. Now if we take a look at the map, you can see that there are 86 fields in total. Most of them are on the small to medium size. There's a couple of slightly larger fields, but with 86 fields on the map, none of them are going to be particularly big. Now there are 3 or 4 farmyard areas that you can purchase. The main one of which is, and you get in new farmer mode, is here between fields 28 and 27. Now you get sheep and cows built in on this map as well, and that's also where your sleep trigger is if you're in new farmer mode, but the sleep trigger is a pair of boots, so you can sell that very cheaply and buy additional ones that you can then place at any house to become your sleep trigger. There's another farm that's located down in the bottom right hand corner, and again that's got sheep and cows built into it. Now you do have to buy the farms for the sheep and cow triggers to kind of pop up. Towards the middle of the map there is also a horse stables, which comes with a little bit of land, just a small field 72, and then just further north than that there is kind of an arable yard that comes with field 63. Now in addition to that there are also a couple of plots of land, one next door, field 64, where you've got these kind of small little placeable areas, and another one up by field 56, which comes with field 54 and field 55 kind of grouped together. Now there are 12 selling points in total, 3 of which are for your crops and grains, and it's just the regular crop types that are available on this map. So this is the main farm that you would get if you were starting a new farmer mode, which comes with sheep and cows. This is the kind of secondary animal farm that's down in the bottom right hand corner of the map, that comes with a couple of small grass fields as well. Then this is the kind of arable yard really that just comes with a small single field. And this one is the horse stables, that's kind of fairly centrally located in the map, again just comes with one small field. And then in addition to that we've got these 2 areas where they've got these kind of placeable areas where you could build your own farms. Nice and flat, so very easy to be able to do that. Now this is the BGA, which is located up in the sort of top right hand side of the map. Now it is quite expensive at about 525,000 euros, so quite pricey. Now there are plenty of grass fields around, and as you can see as well there are quite a lot of smaller forestry areas that are kind of dotted around the map. There's some nice little features as well, little waterway up here in the corner, little beach area and everything with a little island, which is quite a nice feature. Then there's a town area that's up in the top left hand corner as well, and this is where most of the selling points are. There's also quite a lot of buy points as well for the likes of manure and liquid manure and such like. Now the map does have manure system support. There's also a Maize Plus version available, and there's specialist snow contracts during the winter. And although quite a lot of the fields are separated by these small little waterways and canals, a number of them do have tracks or kind of grass verges running through them that you could merge to make for bigger fields if you wanted to. So that's Hollandscheveld, something a little bit different and certainly kind of smaller farming, I guess, but if you like that sort of thing, then this is definitely worth a look. Now last but by no means least is Bjornholm 2K20. Now this Scandinavian map was originally on Farming Simulator 15, but it was released for FS19 in October 2020 last year. It's created by Vectorman and it currently has a mod rating of 4.1 out of 5. So the map has 41 fields in total, which are generally small to medium in size and quite spread out, as you can see. There are also an awful lot of forestry areas, and all purchasable in small kind of bite-sized chunks as well. Now, if you start in new farmer mode, you will get 2 farms actually. The first is the main farm, which is located in the middle of the map, and that comes with fields 23 and 29. And then you also get, just down here towards the bottom left-hand corner, you also get a cattle farm as well. So if I just show you on the Bible map, then that's the kind of chunk of land that you purchase or get if you are in new farmer mode. Now, if you start in farm manager mode or start from scratch, then you can of course purchase each of those separately, and they're not badly priced either, just over 3,000 euros, and the cattle farm is only 168,000. There are 11 sell points in total, 5 of which are for your crops and grains. And if we have a look on the map again, you can see that it's just the standard crop types that are available on this map as well. Now, the main farm is very spacious and has lots of great storage as well, so plenty of room for you to expand if you choose to. And the second farm, the cattle farm, has also got a certain amount of space as well and a couple of large sheds, so if you decide to buy this separately in farm manager mode, then you've got some good vehicle storage as well. Now, the BGA is quite expensive, just under 600,000 euros, but it does come with field 41 and a little area of forestry. And there's a patch of grass that's just off to the left-hand side that you can see there that you could use for placeables and creating a small farm if you wanted to. Now, the equipment loadout in new farmer mode is pretty good, but fairly small machinery, but all in keeping with the style of farming that you have on the map. Now, the selling points are nice and evenly spread out across the map, so all of them are fairly easy to get to. The sawmill is located up in the top left-hand corner, and there is an awful lot of forestry on this map, so you will have to travel a little bit to the sawmill if you're doing some of it kind of down in other places in the map. There's a couple of lime stations where you can purchase lime, one at the garden centre and another one up at the animal dealership. And generally there's some really nice features across the whole of the map. Little harbour area down by the seafront there, and within some of the fields, although generally speaking they are small to medium-sized plots, once again there are kind of tracks of just a few trees that separate quite a few of the fields, so if you wanted to cut down those trees and merge those fields into larger ones, then you could certainly do that. So that's it for Beyond Home 2K20, and that's also it for my recommended maps for beginners. Now, I've tried to select maps from different locations, different styles and character to them, and also to make sure that they were available for both PC and console players as well. But if you've got any other suggestions or recommendations, then leave me a comment down below, or let me know which map you think you'd like to try next, or which was your favourite. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, then give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell. So thanks very much for watching. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you on the farm next time. Bye for now.